Welcome to Transforming with Us,
where we talk about
all things trans and queer. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Transforming with Us, where we talk about all things trans and queer. Today, I'd like to wish everybody out there a happy Transgender Day of Visibility. A lot of our lives we tend to hide, especially for people that are, older in the community. We didn't really get that chance to be visible when we were younger and get to talk about a lot of these things. So I know that that's something that I take a lot of pride in now, is getting to be that voice for youth and being visible. I had promised myself, nope, you're going to live stealth. You don't want anybody to know the stuff about you. Until one day, it just clicked in my head and I said, I'm going to talk about this. I need to talk about this. There needs to be something there for the trans youth. Now, I can't even tell you how many visibly trans people I see out there now.
I know, I 100% agree with you. I have a few friends that are stealth. While I respect that, I personally just wanted to be the person that was just open and honest about it, but I've always been that kind of person. For some ungodly reason, I think I did talk about this earlier too, is that when people find out that I'm transgender, I don't get the weird questions that a lot of other people get. It's mostly like, oh, well, how are you even feeling? How is, I know you're probably going through like second puberty, right? And is that rough? Like, are you like, is everything like you look happier? Like people don't actually come at me with like, I don't think I've actually ever had anybody ask me what's in my pants, which is kind of fun and hilarious. That's actually really weird. And I have talked to
asked me that.
And nobody's asked me that, right? Apparently, senators, governors, and state representatives like us seen that question, but nobody actually has ever asked me that. The one thing I do hate, though, most than anything, and I want to disclose this, and I think it's very important to talk about, is how people will come up and be like, oh, well, you don't look trans. First and foremost, there is no way for anybody to look. You do not have to look a certain way. Somebody doesn't have to look trans. Somebody doesn't have to look cis. That's just some heteronormative that we were given as a child to follow in society. So if you want to be unapologetically MB, gender fluid, trans femme, trans mass, non-binary, whatever it is you want, we support it because there's no right or wrong way to be transgender.
Right. I think that we had touched on that in a different episode as well. Being trans and part of the community does not mean you have to be medically transitioning. It doesn't mean you have to have any surgeries. It doesn't even mean you have to change your name. You just be true to yourself and who you are. If you want to be trans, masc, and non-binary, then that's who you are as a person. That's how you identify. And I respect that 110%. And same thing with you too, like you just mentioned. That's a lot of the questions that I get. It's like, oh, well, so what kind of hormones do you take? What's that like? How do you take it? What's the transition like? And everything. I don't think I've ever had any actual hate thrown my way yet. Knock on wood. It's going to happen at some points in life. But for the most part, I have been met with 110% genuine questions, people wanting to be educated that are close family members or friends of mine because they want to be able to support me and be there for me better. And, if I wasn't being visible about it or being out about it, I think it would have affected my private life with family and friends a lot different.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you on that. And I will say the funniest part is that most of the time people like us tend to get the most hate online. How fun is that? When people can't sit there and actually talk to you face to face, they rather hide behind their computer, their phone, their iPad, whatever it is, and sit there and be like, oh, you're still a woman. You can't change Donna. And I'm like, your Donna stuff. Leave it alone. My DNA actually says I'm actually XXY. So what are you going to say about that? And then they're like, that's not possible. I'm like, okay, thanks for dismissing an entire population of intersex people that exist.
Right. That's what a lot of people don't understand is that being trans, it goes a lot more complicated than just like, oh, this person decided that they were going to change themselves. Like, no, we're not changing ourselves. We're actually living our true, authentic lives. We've always felt this way. Unfortunately for us in the older part of the community, we weren't educated on it. And we're going to touch on that in a different episode. But I wasn't educated on it. I know you probably weren't educated on it. So growing up, I never knew the terminology or how to express the feelings that I was feeling because
Mhm.
I just didn't know. I didn't know that it was even a thing until I was in my late 20s.
Yeah.
And, just to sit back and think on, the last 4 years of my transition and what life was like before that leading up to it. Even my family will sit there and say, you looked so unhappy before. And since you came out and started your transition and started being you, like I am a completely different person in a positive sense of the phrase. Nothing about me changed other than my happiness.
Yeah, it's kind of like I had one family member said it's nice to actually get to really know you for you. And that was really nice to hear because I mean this family member is actually Catholic and people automatically assume that Catholic people are bad, which like I said, organized religion's bad, but not people aren't bad. Like that's kind of generally how I think about it. But yeah, it was interesting because I started transitioning and people are like, oh wow, you're smiling, you're standing up taller, you're confident, even though I'm still an awkward little like Swedish fish over here. I guess that's what I'm calling myself, but like I'm still awkward. I'm still
That was my favorite candy at school.
yeah, I love Swedish fish. That's probably why it came in my mind. So I was like, realistically, I'm like, it makes sense. I'm still me. I'm just a happier me and a more authentic me, which everybody's allowed to do.
Right, right. I think when I first started taking testosterone, I was like all worried, oh man, like is it going to change the way I react to things? And in a sense it did. Like I had to relearn on how to control my emotions and stuff like that. I couldn't cry for the longest time once starting to transition. Now I've got all my moods and stuff under the wraps. But I was like so worried, like everyone's like, "Oh, you're going to change, you're going to change." And so mentally I'm like, am I really going to change? Like what am I going to be like? I'm going to be a whole new person. And then it's like no, I'm my same self. I'm still goofy. I'm still me. I'm still the person that I was pre-transition, just much happier. I'm not suicidal as half as much anymore.
Mhm.
Everybody has their bad days, but definitely mental health wise, complete 360 as far as, just feeling a lot more confident and comfortable in my own skin, especially being post-op.
Yeah, definitely after top surgery, it helped a lot too. But I will say, like, the one thing that's unique is I hear a lot of stories of some people will say, oh, yeah, when I start transitioning, I can't cry. My happy butt still cries, people. I don't know what you're talking about. I can still cry. I can still deal with it. I've noticed my fuse is a little shorter, but I'm still not a person that's quick to anger. So I still have always been like that. And I think it's because I worked on it so hard before transitioning. I worked on my mental health for years that I started recognizing, hey, my fuse is a little shorter. So I'll vent before I respond to things and kind of, which, Andrew knows all about because, he's, my brother. So we talk about stuff, but it's kind of nice and everybody's experience is different. And, I really just, especially with everything that's going on with all these anti-LGBT stuff, we need to let you all know that we hear you, we see you, and we love you.
Right. You're valid. You're worthy. You're beautiful. You're handsome. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. What matters the most is that you get to look in that mirror every day. And I waited 32 years of my life to be able to finally do it. But to be able to look in that mirror every day and be happy with who you see looking back at you and have it match with how you feel. Because I would look in the mirror pre-T and I would be like, no, this isn't me. Like I could see how miserable I looked. And like you said, now I actually smile in photos and it's not a forced smile. You can tell when someone's forcing a smile and you can tell when it's genuine. And I can genuinely smile in photos now. I can laugh and have a good time. I'm so much more confident. And I agree. I definitely feel like my fuse might be a little bit shorter than it used to be. But I also think that it ties into the fact that because I'm so confident and I'm just so what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just so content with like where I'm at my transition that I also don't put up with people's crap anymore. So,
Yes.
I'll give you a few warnings, but I'm going to stand my ground and I'm proud of who I am. And if you can't back me up and you can't support me, then there's the door. There's the unfriend. There's the unfriend button. There's the unfollow button. Like if you don't like what I have to say and my advocacy and stuff, then you don't have to put your 2 cents in. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm just here to help spread awareness and education and be visible for those that out there that feel like they can't be or they're in a situation where they can't be and be that voice for them and show them that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
I 100% agree. And I do actually think I want to talk about a little bit something that I read earlier today. And it says that it is okay for you to hide your transness until you are safe and you are away from your toxic family members, because we rather have you alive than have you homeless and struggling out there alone. So if that is something you have to do, please understand that is also very valid for you as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I thought for sure when I came out the second time as trans, because I came out once at 26 and that didn't go so well. But I thought for sure, because of the way it went the first time, that I was probably going to have to live stealth and keep it like, I thought for sure I was going to lose my mom and a bunch of other things. But surprisingly, coming out the second time and with just being able to educate and learn things along the way, I was able to help educate family members and everybody else. Because again, like you, I was raised Catholic. My whole family's Catholic. So to have my Catholic family sit there and be like, hey, listen, we hear you, we see you, we accept you, was mind-boggling for me. I thought for sure that I was going to lose my entire family. And so even just having that support, you have to make sure that you're safe, like Drew said, because safety is the number one thing. Safety, self-care, mental health. You have to make sure that you're in a safe position, because not everybody out there is going to have that. And if you don't have that, always reach out to us. We are here for you. You have a safe place. Our email is on our website. You can email us anytime. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, across all platforms. And, we definitely make our best attempts at reaching back out to everybody.
Yes, I 100% agree on that. And lastly, before we go, I do want to say, again, if you do want to share your story and be visible for those who cannot be visible, please reach out to us at info@transformingwithus.com. That is the email that we both get. We're both aware of that email, so you're able to get a hold of us anytime. If you don't get your buzz right away, we're probably sleeping or at work, but we are here for you. But until next time, live with purpose and live your truth.
Thank you for listening to Transforming with Us. You can like, follow, and share on all major platforms to keep up with all things trans and queer.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.